So, why Africa? I mean, of all the continents on our planet, why did our particular human story start there and not, in Asia or Europe or anywhere else? It's genuinely one of the biggest questions in our origin story. And today, we're going to piece together the clues and see if we can solve it. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we explore humanity's journey from early primates to the Wi-Fi loving Homo sapiens of today. Think of it as an evolutionary history class, but, fun, with way fewer lectures and a lot more laughs. You can think of the Earth as this giant laboratory, right? Each continent is running its own unique experiment. And for whatever reason, it was the African experiment that came up with the recipe for us. So what were the secret ingredients? That's the big mystery we're diving into today.
Okay, so here's the first big twist in our detective story. To find the very, very beginning of the primate family tree, we actually have to look outside of Africa. Kinda weird, right?
Our story goes way, way back. Around 66 million years ago, there was this tiny, almost shrew-like creature called Purgatorius scurrying around in what is now Montana. Not quite a primate, but it had these mobile ankles, a little hint of what was to come. The full primate toolkit, though, we're talking grasping hands, forward-facing eyes, bigger brains, that doesn't pop up until about 55 million years ago. But here's the real twist. The first higher primates, that's the group that includes monkeys, apes, and us, they didn't show up in Africa. Nope, they first appear in the fossil record in Asia, around 40 million years ago.
So why did these features even evolve in the first place? Was it for living this high wire act up in the trees? Or maybe for snatching insects out of the air with incredible precision? Or was it to spot colorful, ripe fruit against a sea of green leaves? Honestly, the answer is probably all of the above. These pressures all work together, shaping an animal that was super adaptable and ready for whatever came next. So those early primates over in Asia were about to get an incredibly lucky break, like a continent-sized lucky break, a geological shift that would set the stage for our entire lineage. You have to picture this. 40 million years ago, our primate ancestors in Asia couldn't just decide to take a walk over to Africa. There was this massive body of water, the Tethys Seaway, completely in the way. It was a huge barrier keeping the continents and all their animals totally separate. But then, the Earth itself started to rearrange the furniture. The tectonic plates began to shift. The African and Arabian plates drifted north, slowly but surely, until they slammed into Eurasia. This colossal collision squeezed the seaway shut, and by about 20 million years ago, it formed a land bridge, basically a migration superhighway that let animals cross between the continents for the first time. And this migration, it was an absolute lifesaver. The primate ancestors who made that journey into Africa basically found a refuge. The ones that stayed behind in Asia, well, they likely went extinct because of a massive climate shift. Seriously, without this lucky continental drift, our story could have just ended right there. So once our ancestors were in Africa, they started an experiment that would change everything and truly set our lineage apart from all the others. They started to walk on 2 feet. This is the pivotal moment, and it happened exclusively in Africa. And the amazing thing is, we can actually see this revolution unfolding in the fossil record. We've got a 7-million-year-old skull from Chad, a 6-million-year-old femur from Kenya, and of course the famous skeletons of Artie and Lucy in Ethiopia. It's like a trail of fossil witnesses, each one showing the gradual anatomical tweaks needed for walking upright. Now this is one of the coolest clues. Take a look at the foramen magnum, that's just the fancy name for the hole where the spinal cord connects to the brain. In a chimp, which is on all fours a lot, it's at the back of the skull. But in Sahelanthropus, look at that, it's shifted forward, right underneath the skull. That is a dead giveaway that its head was balanced on top of an upright spine. So why the huge shift? Why walk? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was a whole stack of pressures, all tied to Africa's changing climate. As dense forests shrank into patchy woodlands, our ancestors had to travel farther between patches of trees to find food. Walking on 2 legs is just way more energy efficient for covering long distances. Plus, it freed up their hands to carry food and eventually to carry tools. It was a perfect storm of environmental change, driving a totally revolutionary adaptation. And that brings us to the final act, the origin of our own species, Homo sapiens. And this is where the evidence for an African origin becomes absolutely overwhelming. This is the smoking gun. For a long time, scientists debated 2 main ideas.
Did Homo sapiens evolve just one time in one place, Africa, and then spread out across the world? Or did we kind of evolve in different places around the world all at the same time?
Well, genetics basically gave us the answer. See, genetic diversity builds up over time, kind of like a clock. The longer a population has been around in one place, the more diversity you'll find. And modern human populations in Africa have way more genetic diversity than populations anywhere else on Earth. It means our species has been living and evolving in Africa the longest. Everyone outside of Africa is basically descended from small groups that left much, much later, and they only carried a small piece of that original genetic variation with them.
So what was it about Africa that made it such a perfect incubator from our species? Well, researchers now think it was something they call a pan-African network. Just imagine groups of early humans spread out all over the continent. Sometimes they were isolated, developing their own unique tools and ideas. But, and this is the crucial part, they would also reconnect from time to time, sharing genes and innovations. This constant mixing and remixing created this amazing, diverse toolkit of genes and behaviors that totally supercharged our adaptability and made our species uniquely resilient.
But of course, the story is never completely sealed shut. That's not how science works. It's always evolving, and new discoveries are always coming along to complicate the picture in fascinating ways. For example, we've got fossils like Danavius found in Germany, which was an ancient ape that might have had an upright posture long before our African ancestors did. And recent finds in Greece and Israel have turned up Homo sapiens fossils that are way older than we thought was possible outside of Africa. Now, these don't overturn the mountain of evidence for an African origin, but they're a great reminder that the human story is complex, and we are absolutely still uncovering new chapters. And that's all the time we have for this explainer. Be sure to tune into our podcast for deep dives into big ideas, quirky insights, and the occasional, wait, really? Moment. Huge props to our producer, FireflyHaku, who somehow keeps our chaos on track while helping us turn ancient bones into modern stories. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Subscribe and join the adventure. Evolution guaranteed, boredom not included.